Oh, it's not long enough? Hey, let me, Oh, I beat him.
Might have tied down better up.
Scratched the paint.
So, don't you love when you can talk your stupid friends into doing stupid ideas with you? So, as you can see, we got a second build going on. Started on this one the other night, but we're going to stay focused on mine. If you remember on the first video, we got this thing stripped down, slammed it, widened the whole thing about 6 inches, and got these go-kart wheels and tires mounted up. And tonight, we're going to start with getting a bunch of stuff cut off this frame that we no longer need. We got to figure out where to mount the battery and get a battery box made up. And also need to mount this seat. It originally just snapped into the plastic and it was really loose and I hated it. So we're going to figure out a way to bolt it down good, because the last thing you need is be ripping around a corner and your seat fly off and you fall down, go boom. That's never good. But a lot of stuff to do, so we're gonna get started and we'll see how far we get tonight. Okay, so we got everything off the frame that we no longer need, and I'm going to jump to this seat. What I came up with so far is I'm just going to drill a couple of holes in this factory bracket, and same thing on the bottom of the seat. And this is all solid, hard plastic, so should be plenty strong enough just to drill some holes, and we'll screw it in the bottom there. And same thing on the front. You see those two little casting nubs? Those were solid plastic. So I drilled them out and found some screws that fit them real nice. And we're just going to take a couple of these little L brackets that I just now cut off the frame, because that's how I roll. So those will go in there once the seat's on. That'll be bolted down, and those little L brackets should drop down and hit somewhere on this brace there. Wherever they hit, we'll weld it up, and seat should be good to go. Okay, so we got that seat mounted down. That was super easy. Then I jumped over to getting this battery mounted. And keeping with simple, everything I do, I like simple. So all I did was took a couple of bolts, welded them to the bottom of the frame. Battery will fit in there. Then I took some 1.5 inch strap and just cut me out a hold down. Wait, does that look like a wiener? Who did that? Come on, guys, who did that? Playing games. Them guys. All right, we're just playing, calm down. Take yourself too seriously. This channel might not be for you, bud. All right, guys, so tonight got a bunch of junk cut off there, got that seat mounted, got the battery on there, and I'm going to work on stripping that harness down from 50, 60 wires to actual 5 or 6 that it needs to run, and that's no fun to watch. So I'm going to get busy, and next time you guys see this thing, it'll have some wiring, and who knows, maybe be ready to run, but we'll see what we got. All right, guys, so as you just seen, got this thing all wired up, and we got it running. So of course, I had to test it out and slide it around the shop a little bit. And just by doing that, I've already found a few things I want to fix on it or change. And the first being this cheap Chinese front suspension that's just falling out from under it. All the bushings are blown out. Nothing fits how it should. So we're gonna get this all torn down, and we're just going to eliminate all these plastic bushings and weld washers in their place. Hopefully we'll get those control arms tightened up a little bit, and same with the spindle. I think we can just shim that with some washers, get everything tightened up on the front end, because I took this thing down the road and it's got a pretty scary death wobble. So that's gonna be the first thing we address. And while we have the front end apart, I also want to get a little bit more steering angle out of this thing, because that ain't going to cut it. So I was looking at it, and I think we can just get down in there. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but right there where the tie rods connect to that plate, there's a little rod that hangs down, and that acts as a little steering stop. I think we can just trim that off, and we'll pick up quite a bit of steering angle on this thing. So that'll be the front end. And on the back, we're going to go ahead and extend this wheelbase probably about 6 inches. And to do that, we're just going to make new plates that I'm going to weld directly to these ones. We'll come back a little bit farther. We'll drill new holes. Obviously, have to extend the chain and probably make new tabs for the rear shock. But that should be pretty easy. And I think a longer wheelbase will really help this thing. And yeah, like I mentioned before, I got all wired up. I didn't include it in the video because I had no idea what I was doing. So I just watched it on YouTube. So if you ever get into this situation, there's a lot of good videos, so just search for it. But I was able to get it down to just a few wires coming off the engine. There's only 5 wires, and you only really need 2 of them to run. A trigger wire and a power wire coming off the stator. They go up to the CDI box, and out of the CDI box over to your coil. You ground everything, and that's all you really need to run. There is a couple more wires in there that are just for charging and lights, stuff like that. And it's probably something I'll do down the road. But for now, we got it running with bare essentials on it. And check out this push start. It's the nicest thing on here. But that's that circuit. And I also wired up the starter on a completely different circuit of its own. Just use the factory starter relay. And you guys already seen where I put the battery. So just got everything powered up, ran to that switch, and it's good to go. And by doing that ourselves, we were able to eliminate all of that junk off this thing. So that was a bonus. But like I said, there's the plan for the night. So I'm gonna start by getting this front end apart and get to work. All right, so with the front end all apart, you guys can see a little better what I'm talking about, how just everything's just blown out, nothing fits. And even if that bushing fit tight, the bolt doesn't fit tight inside the bushing. So it's not gonna do any good just replacing them bushings. So we're just gonna eliminate them, and we're just going to take some washers that bolt actually fits real nice and tight, and we're just gonna weld them to both sides of the control arm. Hopefully that'll tighten everything up on those, and you can get a better look at that steering stop I was talking about now with it apart, and how it just hits the corner of that brace to stop the steering. I think we'll just trim that off, and we should pick up quite a bit of steering just doing that. So there's what we got, so you guys understand what I'm doing, and back to work. All right, so we got the first control arm ready to go. Just give you guys a look. Like I said, just using washers. The bolt fits really nice through there, so that should help tighten everything up. So I'll get this welded and do the rest of them. All right, guys, so check it out. How much better is that than those blown out junk bushings for just a little bit of effort and basically zero money? And we got all the steering now. So count that as a win. Going to jump to the back. We're going to get it torn apart, get the plates made, and get them tacked into place. And that'll probably be it for this time because I suck and forgot I was out of welding gas. All right, so we got the back end all apart and pretty much stretched it as far as I could without getting a new brake line. And it worked out pretty good. Ended up being just about 6 inches, right where I wanted to be. So went ahead and cut some plates out. And as you can see, they will get welded in, bolt right up, and that'll be that. So get these things cut out and get this thing mocked up. All right, guys, so got the plates made up. I attempted to weld them, but as I said, I was out of welding gas, so it was gonna be ugly. So that kind of shafted us for the night. But next time you guys see this, I'll have this rear end all wrapped up, and we'll be on to cooler things.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States.
Cruising USA! Come on down! I love this job! Yeehaw! Come on in the hot tub! Well, hey! Hey, doggy! Y'all come back now!
All right, guys, we are back in business. Got the welding tank filled and both of our plates cut out. And I went ahead and just picked up a new chain and master link that will cut to length. It was only 30 bucks, so we're still doing really good on the budget. Only paid 100 bucks for the quad and 150 for the wheels and tires. So even after the chain, we're only at 280 bucks on this thing. Everything else is just stock that's been cut up and welded and modified to make it way cooler. And I got everything cleaned up and ready, so go ahead, get these plates welded in and make some tabs for the rear shock there, and we're going to get this thing wrapped up tonight. All right, guys, so we got the rear axle back on, got the rear shock on there, and tell you the hardest part of that process was finding a place on both sides of the frame that was the same, because those little Chinese kids do not give a damn when they weld these things together in the factory. I'll tell you that. There's nothing on this thing that is square, but I think we got it pretty close. So I'm going to jump to making this chain and show you guys kind of how to do that. If you've never done it, the chain I bought was just a 10-foot section. You cut it to length. So I got it kind of laid out where it's going to be. And what I like to do is this rear axle is kind of cammed. I got all the bolts loose just to show you guys how it'll goes back and forth both directions. That's how you adjust the tension on the chain. So put your adjustments about half right in the middle there. That way you got adjustment to tighten it or loosen it if you have to. And then just kind of pull it tight. You'll mark about which length you want to cut it at, and take into consideration you're gonna be adding a master link. So we're gonna go one link back farther than that, but I'll mark that and show you guys how to do the rest of it. All right, guys, so I'm sure most of you guys know how to do this, but there's probably a few who don't, so we're gonna go ahead and show them. All I did was mark the link where we want to separate it, and in a pinch, you can just grind the heads off and tap it through with a punch, but I'd recommend just buying a chain brake. You can pick them up super cheap, like under 10 bucks on Amazon, so I'd say just go ahead and buy one, and all you do with it is both of these will spin, and the big one, you'll put your chain in there and spin that until it's pinched in there, nice and tight. And then the center one, as you turn it, it's got a pin that comes down and it'll push the pin out and separate your chain for you. So it's super easy. I'm gonna go and get this done and get it thrown on the bike. All right, so give you guys one final look before I call it a night. And one thing I want to mention before I forget, on your master link, you always want the open end of your clip facing away from the engine, just so as it rotates, it has less of a chance of catching anything or popping off of there. But I'm going to drive the hell out of this thing for the next couple of days, see if there's anything I need to fix or change on it, see if I'm happy with it. And next time you guys see it, we're going to blow it apart, give it a nice paint job, and make it look a little cooler. But see you guys next time.
Dizzy.